Hey, what's going on, fam? We're back. Today, we are going to talk about men, something that we are subject matter experts at. So, that being said, a lot of times, we get heat for not being cohesive as a unit, men together, so on and so forth. You got busters, you got coons, all these different types. But what we want to talk about today is, should we as men be accountable to each other, whether it's in times of crisis or good times or whatever the case may be? Do we have an obligation to be supportive of one another? So that being said, Carl, let me ask you, do you feel that men should be supportive for one another?
In general, yes. I think we talked about there could be some caveats to that.
Mm-hmm.
I always go back to, and I actually have this on a pin that I wear on a jacket of mine. Issa Rae made a comment on the red carpet at the Emmys some years ago. And she said she was rooting for everybody black.
There you go. And
I wholeheartedly support that. I can root for you. However, I don't have to support every decision that you make.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
And I root, when I say I'm rooting for you to do the right thing. I'm rooting for you to live a righteous lifestyle. I'm rooting for you to be accountable to yourself and to each other and, all of our community in general, your family, everything. But when you make a bad decision or when you do something that is counterproductive, I need to be there to hold you accountable as well. Mm-hmm. So sometimes accountability looks like chastisement. It can be perceived by some as abandonment. I've heard that as well.
Or the H word.
What's the H word?
You hating.
Yes. All of that. And I know as we get into it, we'll get some examples. And I know I have a couple examples myself. But I don't think that we have to support each other in every aspect. I'll say that.
Okay. I can concur. I think for me, I'm looking the broader spectrum and purely from a health standpoint, whether it be physical, mental, spiritual. I think that us supporting one another, it does a few things. It fosters healthy masculinity, in terms of holding each other accountable. Mm-hmm. Mutual. I don't necessarily have to do something in order to support you thinking that it's going to be reciprocal. Mm-hmm. So taking out reciprocity. I don't have to do something for you thinking that you're going to do something for me. Mm-hmm. So that has to be mutual. Carl, to your point, accountability is huge because, you're taking responsibility not only for your actions, but you're holding the next man accountable. Hey, man, so on and so forth. This is one that I really, hold near and dear to my emotional support. Mm-hmm. Because I think that, a lot of times we have been, I don't even want to say socially, but it's cultural for us, culturally conditioned to keep it in, be strong, tough, don't cry, don't show your emotions. But I have come up, being raised in a house full of women, which I think gave me some advantage when it came to being emotional, so to speak. But Carl, we have friends, we're mutual where we don't mind showing emotion because we know that that's a part of being whole.
Yeah, it's part of life.
And it's almost like, we're fighting a battle with the YNs and all these other folks because they still want to be tough. You want to boss up on somebody. Man, come on now. Because at the end of the day, we recognize that a lot of times when brothers popping off, they hurt.
Oh, absolutely.
Something has hurt
them.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, and I don't say to be soft, but it's the truth. Mm-hmm. And another important fact that I think supporting one another gives is wisdom and guidance. Be me and Carl have some situations, experience that you may not have.
Yep.
You ask us for our advice on something, we'll tell you based upon our experience, based upon our wisdom. I mean, I love the fact that my experiences have given me a sort of wisdom now that can't be taught in school.
Exactly.
You know, and then there have been men in our lives, Carl, whether it's friends or, you know, fathers, relatives and stuff, that have spoken wisdom into us. And I love the fact that my community of men now, we do some of these things. Not all of them, but we do some of them. And we all feel that, you know, hey, man, if you need, it's almost unspoken with us. If you need something, you ain't got to, I mean, just come. And we don't have parameters. Let me say that.
Yeah, fair.
You know, and I think that as we grow, it would be very important for us to grow that support system. You know, we're in the men's ministry at our church, and we're doing the same thing. You know, so I think it's incumbent upon us, not only as Black men, but just men in general. You know, and especially from a historical standpoint, you know, as Black men. But we'll get into that. But B, let me ask you, how do you feel about supporting one another, encouraging one another, and being responsible, held accountable for your fellow man?
I agree with past points you guys just put up 200%, because I think in today's world, men are like, if I had to make a comparison, it's like you got the lone wolf scenario. And when do we ever see that working out in a positive way? You don't, whether it's man or actual wolves at that. Wolves in a pack survive together. Men, we can't survive alone. And I'm not even talking about a woman. We need community, right? Your barber, you need a friend to talk to, a friend that can help you out with car parts, whatever. You need community, right? And again, constructive criticism, accountability, you need that. And it's like just saying, I'm going to support you and ride or die to the end. You're going to need a friend to check and balance you and say, hey, man, don't do that. You should do this. But if you don't have that, you in that little lone wolf situation, you just running wild. You doing whatever you want to do because you think it's okay, and you big and bad. So I'm all for that 100%, and I agree totally. We all need that. Whether we know it or don't, you can see the benefits instantly once you're around like-minded men that can give you wisdom. Even the Bible says seek wise counsel. So you gonna go against the Bible?
There you go. See, there you
Amen.
People
Amen.
struck down. Yes, preach.
Hey, you're not gonna get struck down now.
Let me ask you though, man, in your generation, because you know we always got to come back to you and your folks. How do you guys navigate or handle constructive criticism? And not you personally, but your peers.
It's a case-by-case scenario. There are some people that are going to be receptive of it, like, oh, man, I appreciate you pulling me to the side and saying I shouldn't operate like this. And then it is going to be the other person's like, I'm going to do what I want to do anyway.
So have you experienced both of those?
Yes.
Oh, damn.
So no,
Easy one.
I want to ask this too, though, when you bring that up. Who do you listen to?
Between those two?
No, just like,
Or just in general?
like, I'm just saying, again, people in your age group. Who do you listen to? Who do you, if you're not, and I'm not going to say seeking wise counsel,
Okay, I got you.
but what are you listening to that's going to influence your decision making?
Experience.
Purely experience.
Like if, let's just say, if I want to talk to somebody about a certain situation, I'm going to reach out to somebody that I know that has been involved.
I'm not talking about you.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the 29.
Oh,
the, 20,
the consensus.
Yeah,
Oh,
the consensus.
Okay. That could be anything.
Okay,
That could be anything and anybody. And like
That's what I'm
another
getting at.
episode, it could be ChatGPT. So I really can't answer that.
That's what I'm getting
It's
at.
all over
because,
the place.
We asking Chat
because Eugene kind of pointed it out. We had fathers, and I say this because I had a conversation with somebody earlier this week.
Yeah.
There's a lot of noise that young people have that we did not have.
Or people at social media, unfortunately.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's the biggest.
We didn't
enemy,
have a 24-hour TV cycle.
News cycle, yeah.
We didn't have social media. We didn't have people giving their opinions
24/7.
Even though growing up in a house full of women, we didn't have women in our lives telling us how to be men. And that's
They
what
didn't
you
tell
have
you
now.
what a real man was supposed
Yeah.
to be.
Never.
Telling JJ, little JJ,
I
you the
digress.
man of the house.
Yeah.
And JJ 7.
This is a time now where you have women getting on social media telling men how to be men and what men should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing. And so I never had we had
And people are
men
listening.
telling us these are your responsibilities as a man.
Amen.
These are your responsibilities as a husband, as a father. Now, you got a lot of information. Some was good, some was bad,
Yeah.
but you were able to filter it, again, like you said, based on experience and based on like a general consensus.
Yeah.
If you tell, and you know, and I've said this before, and I don't want to get in trouble because
Say
people
it.
might come at me, but
Do it.
when women say, and I hear this, you know, we've got to, stop domestic violence, and men, you have to stop domestic violence. I don't know any men in my inner circle who abuse their spouse or mate or child. I don't know any. So as a man in that, like my position, how can I do that? How can I stop that? If I did, then I would hold that person accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
I would be able to say, hey man, what's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? So if they're saying stop domestic violence in that manner, like if men need to have those healthy relationships and be able to kind of pull on another man to say, but what kind of group am I in?
A group of women beaters.
If I
but
told,
we not in the group
and that's
of
the thing,
women beaters.
if,
So
because
what
you
do
got to
do
think
with
about
that
it. If I'm
information?
sitting around with your boy and he was like, "Yeah, man, she came in the other night. I
Smacked
slapped
up.
her down and smacked up a little bit, and it's like, are you gonna sit there and everybody like, yeah, man, that's how we?
Every now and then you got to do that.
Yeah, it's like,
My man.
what group is that? I've never been in that situation.
Birds of a feather flock together.
Exactly.
The He Man Woman
So,
Haters Club.
and I think that if somebody was to say that and you was like, hey, bruh, what's wrong with you?
What you mean you beat her yesterday?
He's going to correct it or he's going to move into that group of, like-minded people.
Thought y'all was cool, man.
That's why I'm trying to figure out, like, what influences are men having where they're no longer holding each other accountable. And not that we've ever been a perfect group, and I think that black men in particular have a lot of issues. We have embedded distrust, conditioned distrust, and that's from our time being brought to these shores. We take in a lot of the stereotypes that have been put upon us. We see each other as dangerous. We see each other as, somebody not to do business with because they're going to try to steal your money.
Yep.
Yeah, it's competition involved.
Crabs in a barrel.
So it's like we have enough that we have to fight with internally, which is one of the reasons I think that sometimes we can't talk to one another because we think that I don't trust him enough with my emotions or with my true feelings because he might use it against me at some point in time. So,
or you're going to be weak or soft or...
Yeah. So, I mean, we have enough to fight with on our own, but I just be trying to figure out, like, what are people listening to nowadays? Or why wouldn't you listen to somebody or approach somebody older with experience to say, what would you do in this scenario?
Well, I think a lot of times too, especially now, because we have so much stuff on the peripheral that people are listening and paying attention to, doesn't necessarily exude positivity. When you talk about from a historical perspective, Carl, you talk about how we have been conditioned, but even during those times, i.e. slavery, we still had a measure of community amongst the men. You had your family, you were the head of the family, so on and so forth, community. You had churches, mutual aid societies. And I think as we move forward, especially coming into, for me, I wish that I could have been, if I could transport myself back in time, the civil rights era. And I say that because there was so much wisdom that came from that. Primarily when you're talking about Dr. King, you're talking about, the Honorable Minister Malcolm X. And even though there were like different dichotomies, they were all kind of preaching the same thing. community, uplift. And then we get into the late 60s, early 70s, Black Panther Party, which at the end of the day, I don't think a lot of people even realize it was a community organization.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't a political party or anything like that. All they wanted to do was make sure that we took care of our own. Kids go to school, you ain't got to be hungry. Community coming together. And I don't think they give this enough perspective. When we talk about the Black Panther Party, they were what? Close to 70% women.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to our culture and how women are able to acclimate themselves for the greater good.
Yep.
Because I have to imagine even in slavery, mama had to hold it down because daddy out in them fields. Mass over here, he gonna do a little something to mama, but still, she didn't let it affect her. And I have to imagine not being there, that it was a certain measure of the women in slavery coddling their men to say, it's gonna be all right.
Those times it affected, well, we find out now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We can only imagine.
It affected both men and women more than they let on.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's why I say the whole thing about the strong Black woman and the strong Black man is really internalized hurt and rage from those times.
And not being able to stand up for themselves.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, man, damn, we built from adversity. And that's why it's so easy for us to, kind of go through what we're going through now as a country.
Yeah. But it
is what it isn't. It's one of those type of deals because it's still all bad.
But I'm not saying, but we accept it. But we readily accept it because we know, okay, we've been here before.
It's our normal.
Exactly.
We're desensitized to it.
But
I
it's
think
not
that's what
normal.
it is.
It's our normal.
Yeah,
but it's not.
But we've been desensitized to it, so it's like
yes,
yeah, it is
because you think about it when Black people, Black men particularly, and this is another thing about us kind of supporting each other. When you see a Black man kind of ascend in anything, whether it be, business or politics or sports or whatever, but when they get to like the top of the top, Black men are primarily the ones that are going to hate on them. It's like, he ain't all that. It's that it gets to the point where they've ascended, and we should be more supportive and proud. But, and I have to be saying I'm guilty of this myself. I'm going to look at you through a lens of how are you going to represent us?
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up because what I see, Carl, there is, in my opinion, an element for me of justification if I'm criticizing a Black man for something. It's not just because he Black, he got this, that, and the third. I feel like I have a reason to, only because, let's give an example. Coon Dog, Snoop Dogg.
I see what you did there.
He's a coon. Yeah. So we can do that. Ice Cube. He's a coon in the sense that he's uneducated on the things that he was trying to bring to light with his pledge or whatever the thing was for Black America. I mean, come on, dude. But I say to myself, even with celebrities and athletes, there are certain athletes and stuff, I've seen interactions with them and maybe fans or whatever, and I'm like, really? I've seen the celebrities walk away from people. Little kid want an autograph. Yeah. You act like you don't see him. You walk away. You've seen sound bites of something going on, or they might say something, whatever the case may be. And I'm saying to myself, okay, now you have ascended to where you don't believe you like us no more. You're up here.
Even though you were that kid.
Exactly. If I, even our Oprahs, our Tyler Perrys, do we consider them Black still?
Hey, I don't claim Tyler Perry.
You don't claim Tyler Perry? Medea? Even though he got a little problem now with these sexual lawsuits.
Okay,
but anyway.
so this is what I want to get into, a couple of things based on both of those. One, we should not and this has been studied, and I know Malcolm X talked about it, and I know it's even and I didn't get the documentary, but I started watching it. Why do we as Black people have celebrities as our benchmarks for success or our role models? Because when we look at, like, Snoop Dogg, why is Snoop Dogg speaking for me politically?
He's not speaking for me.
But that's what I'm saying. Why would we?
Why is he our representation at the Olympics?
When Snoop goes and performs,
Like he know a little more than we do when it comes to politics.
This particular administration, why were we all up in arms? Like, and I think it's because, again, we're looking at him through a lens of how are you going to represent us? And it's not fair because he shouldn't represent us. He's an entertainer.
But a lot of these celebrities, they buy into that though.
But
they know that they have an influence.
But they shouldn't.
Well, they do.
They have an influence because we do. Here's the thing. You're a minstrel. You go, you dance, you perform. Seriously, you're a minstrel. You're a clown. That's what you are. As an entertainer, that's what you are. You're just a minstrel. You do this, you perform, and then you go about your business, and then we go back to the real world, and you're just a relief for us. Now, some people are true artists, and I'm not, disparaging people's artistry. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. But at the same time, you're a distraction from my everyday life. You're not who I should be aspiring to be. Now, in that vein,
does he realize that though?
I don't care. I mean, no, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. Because he's made enough money. And again, here in this country, we equate money with influence.
Bingo. That's what I was waiting for, the whole cha-ching.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
That's what matters. So once you get money, you think that you're influential. Once you've gotten money from the establishment, you think that you're part of that establishment. And you have to continue to do their business in order to maintain your income.
So what about those that say Coon Dog was doing some real good stuff in the community with his football program and his scholarships and stuff like that?
That's the other part I wanted to get to. Two things can be true at the same time.
Yep.
Okay.
Two things can be true at the same time. And I say this, and that's why I say I have a little list of people here. So,
hey, let's dive in, man.
Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, and there's, again, studies have been done on this, single-handedly increased college enrollment for Blacks in the 1980s. People can say that.
The Cosby Show.
The Cosby Show, and particularly for HBCUs.
Yeah.
He was a doctor. He portrayed a doctor. His wife was a lawyer. They had a family. The kids matriculated to college. Education was a big deal.
They were set.
They had everything. And it was like, that was a model. He made sure through Dr. Alvin Poussant, who was one of the consultants on the show, that the scripts were such that it was a all positive influence.
Black writers on the show.
Black writers on the show. He hired black actors. He did all of those things to empower our people.
It worked.
Made some controversial comments about how black people need to get off welfare, start having babies, pull your pants up. He did all these things. I mean, and that was all a big controversy until it comes out,
the elephant in the room,
that he been drugging and doing things to women
for decades.
But here's the thing. It was already known.
Yeah. You forgot to mention Let's Do It Again in Uptown Saturday Night, which
classic movies.
Yes. Yes.
Classic movies.
Fam, please go watch them.
You
will laugh from beginning to end.
They're on YouTube too, so you don't have to pay for it right now. But it's hilarious. I mean, he made us, the whole pudding pop, Jello pudding pop thing.
I was waiting for the pudding pops.
I mean, Bill Cosby was so influential to the black community.
Remember them cartoons?
But at the Fat Albert,
yes,
everything.
Hey.
I mean, he was just part of our lives, the fabric of our lives, growing up through the 70s and 80s and into the 90s, actually, because But he can still be guilty of sexual assault. Now, do I discount everything that he did because he was, and some people's? And here's the part: do we think that he? it's not even we think. He had depositions where he admitted doing certain things.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is, but
It's not hearsay.
what was the first thing we heard? Oh, they coming to get him because he wanted to buy NBC and we just.
Who is that?
Well, you said two things can be true at the same time.
Free Bill Cosby and yada yada. And I'm going like, but he did these things.
That's
There's
just a
smoke.
man trying to take him
He
down.
did these things. Okay, we're gonna go to the next thing. R. Kelly.
Oh,
He
Robert.
did it too.
Robert made the anthems of our lives.
Yes, he still got diehard fans. They're not letting him go.
little children in elementary school were singing, I believe I can fly. I mean, come on. I mean, you can't go to a black family function that doesn't play an R. Kelly record. You can't do it.
Or a bar, or a club.
Let's
A
not
bar
forget
club.
bump and grind.
But
So.
hey, all of that. Okay.
Fair.
Now we find out he was doing,
Little
But,
freak,
but again, I say we find out, but again, we knew it.
Yes. I saw the video. You
We
did
knew
too.
it.
Saw the tape.
Don't say that, because don't say that. We didn't see that. We're not admitting we saw that.
Hey man, I saw it. And
Sorry,
Robert,
back
Robert
that up.
Yeah, 'cause
had an
that's-
affinity
'cause that's
for the young.
We don't know if that was legal to what we was watching.
Hey man, statute of limitations is gone. It wasn't my video.
But even not before the video, we knew he had a relationship with Aaliyah, who was underage.
What was the age gap on that?
We knew these things, and a lot of this stuff is like, oh, we're gonna let it go. Now, when
It's because he was pumping out them jams.
when
Man.
people who weren't alive during the late 80s, early 90s, or were little, they come out with all these documentaries, Surviving R. Kelly. Now it's like, oh, throw him in jail, cancel R. Kelly, don't play his music.
Hog tie.
Two things. I have that on my phone.
I'm sorry. I had to go there.
Oh, not all time. But these are things that we knew.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Sean Combs. Rumors have abounded for years.
Yeah.
Whispers have abounded for years about his sexual proclivities. Now it comes, but at the same time, he gave us Biggie. He gave us Jodeci. He gave us Mary J. Blige.
And don't forget the what was that program? Vote or Die.
Vote or
He
Die.
got us out
He
voting.
got people out vote. Two things can be true at the same time. So we don't have to say that these men are above reproach.
Yeah, nobody should be.
But some people think that that's the case because black men got to support black men.
And that's just it. At one point, we did support all of them. That's because we didn't know, or we thought we knew.
We didn't want to know.
We didn't have
I'll
all
tell
the
you
facts.
though,
Let's
Bill,
say it like that.
Bill Cosby is the one that I hadn't heard anything prior to that. But once I did hear and I started doing my little research and finding out things, yeah. Bill went unchecked for a long time.
Well, Bill has that, and I had the album in my home where he did his little Spanish fly routine. When he talked about putting a little something in the girl's drink. This was this was recorded. I
Right
want to
in your
say
face,
late
huh?
'60s,
Right
early
in your
'70s.
face.
Bill was saying it.
Bill was so infamous, he had his own room at the Playboy Mansion.
Yes,
Oh, I missed that.
Your own room.
Wow.
along
What do you mean with that?
he frequented the Playboy Mansion
I
with
can
one of the
tell.
people that I consider, and I use this word loosely, one of my heroes, Mr. Jim Brown.
Yes, and
Mr. Jim Brown, and I
Did
got
he have a
I
sweet
got a
tooth?
chance to meet him.
Jim didn't play.
I got a chance to meet him, and I was like, that's the only person I've ever met where I was kind of starstruck. I was just like, oh my God, it's Jim Brown. Jim used to like to do a little light boxing with a few of his lady friends.
He may or may
A
not have
little
thrown
light
someone
boxing.
off of a balcony.
I mean, yes.
A little light
Hey.
boxing.
And I'm going
It was
like,
the second floor though, so
Yeah.
it ain't like
Nah,
yeah.
we'll kill you.
I mean, I'm just saying.
okay.
Break a couple
But
eggs.
see, we see these, but two things. But Jim again, civil rights icon,
Did a lot.
did a lot through the,
And then think about what he did too in the 80s with the gangs in
with the
LA.
gangs in L.A.
Speaking about holding brothers accountable, the whole nine. So, I mean,
Two
you know,
things
with
can be
Jip, it's
true.
almost like that was an evolution. He started here, ended up there, and, you know, we almost forgot that he threw a woman off a balcony and he was slapping them up.
And
you know,
I think that's the thing as men, we can't we can't compartmentalize. We have
Yeah.
to say it's either all or nothing.
selective amnesia.
I either got to support you or I don't support you. And if I don't support you, I'm discounting everything that you've done.
Yeah.
And
you
that's
can
not
still,
the
But you can
case.
still hold them accountable if you're not supporting because, like you said earlier, I have the right to criticize you if you're doing something that goes against our fabric as men. I mean, we're always trying to uphold each other in a certain respect. You know,
Yeah, we
because
should.
I even go back to Genesis 4:9.
Amen. See, it's not just me.
Scripturals.
See, go ahead.
Cain and Abel.
Ooh, good example.
After Cain killed Abel, and I'm sure y'all know the story, God said, hey, man, why you kill him?
What you do that
To
for?
which Cain responded,
Am I my brother's keeper?
exactly. But also, fam, for you that are in our age range, we know that line from New Jack City.
New Jack City.
But yeah,
The Bible too.
yeah, Bible was first.
Yeah.
Then it was.
You said
and then,
They say, I know what
Bible
you're talking
was
about.
first,
I know
then
what
it
he's
was
talking
Nino.
about.
and then it was Nino and G Money. Okay.
Oh, they're like, okay, I thought that came from there
Hey,
first.
look, we all about facts here. But I look at with Cain saying that, "Am I my brother's keeper?" It was in a cynical and a sarcastic
Absolutely.
Mhm.
way because Cain was the oldest.
Yep.
Therefore, it was his job and his obligation to look out for his little brother.
Yeah.
So he said that in tongue in cheek.
But he
So-
hated on him.
Yeah.
he was
So
jealous,
now
so-
you come forward and am I my brother's keeper? We'll shorten it to my brother's keeper. You know what that was? That was a program that President Obama instituted in 2014, I believe. And what it was, he had like I think 6 pillars of it. The first one was school readiness. It's all designed, you know, for Black men. School readiness, reading proficiency, high school graduation, post-secondary graduation, successfully entering the workforce, and safety from violent crime. So what you have to look at with that is this is something that he instituted to help us support one another, you know, grow the community and whatnot. And I didn't, you know, it's still around. I didn't know it was still around.
I thought it would have been taken down by a current
Here's what
administration.
happened. Now, initially, when he started it in 2014, of course, it was government funded. He had these programs, just that and the third. Now it's a part of the Obama Foundation. It's still in existence, but on a smaller scale, of course. And I think they've currently got like about 250
Okay.
My Brother Keepers communities around, you know, the United States. But my question is, did you know it was still in existence?
To be honest, I had forgot all about it till you just.
Yeah, same here.
I mean,
I thought it would have been stripped. I honestly thought it would have been
Well,
stripped.
it was,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term.
Well,
but,
yeah,
you know,
but
now
I
he
thought it
got
was-
his foundation in there, you know, doing things or whatever. And they seek, you know, philanthropic organizations to, you know, fund them and stuff. But I say all that to say that I think that was, it was quite admirable. I know we were excited about it when it started because it was a big kickoff and this, that, and the third. But I kind of akin it to the Million Man March. We were excited.
I was just gonna say,
You
that's
know,
what,
we went into
Unity,
it and yes,
yeah.
yes, and it just dissipated. You know, and even when we talk about the Million Man March, which we mentioned on a previous show when we talked about Minister Farrakhan, I would love to see more of us coming together, which is why we say, yeah, it is our responsibility to grow our
agreed.
community, to, you know, support one another. But I have to ask, and either one of y'all, how do we move forward? What's the solution? Not to say that we have all the answers, but I think at some point we have to create some type of think tank to get some people together to say, hey, some influential people. Now here in the city of Detroit, guess what? We got a female mayor, the first elected female mayor, because people keep calling her the first female mayor. She's not the first female mayor. She's the first elected female mayor. Back in '68, they had the mayor.
Oh, it was a transitional thing?
Yeah. Well, she was president of the city council, so she had to step in and be, mayor pro tem. So she wasn't elected, but she, Sheffield wasn't the first female mayor. But anyway, I say all that to say that now she's coming in, and I think, that's where some of this stuff needs to begin. She's talking about reform. All of these platforms that she ran for mayor on. Well, sis, come on now.
Yep.
You have an opportunity to do some things. And I think a lot of times for us, when it comes to trying to move forward in spaces like this, community organizations, especially, for us as Black men, it's difficult because we have to get buy-in. You can start on a small scale, but how do you grow it?
Yep. Man, I don't know, to be honest, but I think you got to at least start. Because like how we talk about our ministry we deal with, it's not just a big sprawling thing, but we get guys here and there, and we consistently try. And of course, we have a meeting 2 months from now. Are we going to have 375 guys? No. But eventually you can. But I think the biggest thing is we at least got to start somewhere.
So is consistency key with that if you can start something?
Consistency is key. Consistency is what you need, actually, because these organizations and we romanticize, and I know you said something earlier about the civil rights movement. I too, and this was when I was younger, I mentioned to my mother that I think I should have been born. It should have been born earlier so I could have lived through the 60s because it fascinated me.
You're going to blame her.
No. And I didn't mean like that. I mean, like you said, if I could transport myself back in time. But I said I would have, wanted to be through the 60s. And she said to me, no, you wouldn't, because it was terrible. And she meant it about her living through all of the turmoil and, Vietnam and the assassinations one after the other. Yeah. It was like, it was just terrible. And it kind of reshaped my perspective. But also I dug a little bit deeper. These organizations and these people that we romanticize, the Kings, the X's, the Black Panther Party, they all started as small grassroots organizations. There weren't a lot of people that were in this mindset. And I think that when we talk about what's happening now, just like what you said, B, if you have a men's meeting through your ministry, you don't need 375 people. You need a small group of committed people who will do things consistently. Yeah. And I think the way that we do these things is, too, none of those organizations, well, King and the Civil Rights, they kind of did. They looked toward the federal government to put protections in place. But these other organizations were like, nah, we don't really need the government. We need each other.
Yeah, we self-govern.
We self-govern, and we should be able to ask for, even with King, we're asking for what you told us you were going to give us. So we're not asking for like extra stuff. We should have these protections already. We should have, what Mayor Sheffield is looking to do in Detroit with these particular programs. Yeah, you can put it in place, but if nobody's coming, like you said, the buy-in is what we really need. And we need to have people that are committed to change. And I think that as men, we have to lead that charge.
Agreed.
And that's the part that I think that we don't get enough of. We get fascinated with numbers. We get fascinated with, like large movements, million man marches and yeah, like we got to have all these people. Nah, I'm gonna tell you, if you get one person, if you can get, and everybody knows what kid on the block is doing all the bad stuff. You know what's going.
Yeah, because you couldn't go over his house.
You can, if you can get a hold of that kid, and that kid, he can go one or two ways. He can be a gang leader, or he can be a neighborhood motivator. It just depends on who gets a hold of him first. And I think that consistency and that want to is what we really need among each other.
And I'll add to that too, Carl. Along with consistency, I believe outreach is important.
Absolutely.
You know, because along with that, yeah, you can have your meetings, but if it's just in your own little circle,
Yeah,
and nobody is, talking to somebody over here, talking to somebody over there, then it's not really gonna do any good. Be with our men's ministry at church. I know I've mentioned it before. To Carl's point, that's the one thing I've always said: consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if it's 25 people or 2 people. Still, we continue with this ministry because we know where we want to go. And I think that especially now, this is a turning point for not only us as Black men, but America. I mean, my God, we're doing things that we would have never envisioned could be done, and not on a positive front. This administration is all over the place. I think they just doing stuff to see if they can do it. It's like,
it's a fair assessment.
And again, hell, Congress is supposed to be the one to keep the president in check.
But again, we've stripped away norms.
Yeah, there are no checks and balances.
There's no checks and balances. And people and we started talking about in the previous show, we're fat, lazy, and dumb as a country. And
America.
Nobody wants to really put forth the effort to think. They'd rather sit back and watch and react. Because when people sit there and say, okay, I voted for this person, you go do what I tell you to do. Well, how are they going to do it if you don't hold them accountable?
Because I'm going to sit back on my couch.
Because the minute they do something that you don't like, you're like, well, I didn't think he was going to do that.
I didn't know he was going to take this away from me.
How do you elect people and they just stay there forever? And they're not doing, they're doing the public no good. You look at them and they say things on TV, even if you don't know them, they'll say something that you totally disagree with. And then when the election comes back around,
you vote for them.
You vote for them, or either don't vote at all, and they get back in, and then you still complaining. It's like you're hiring these people. We don't get that because we're dumb. You're hiring these people for a finite period of time, and you can take their job away from them whenever you want. But now you're electing dumb people, or you're letting the people that are corrupt and lazy stay in these positions.
And again, holding them accountable, because I look at it this way too, Carl. It's like you elect them and you want them to think for you.
Absolutely.
Why?
Don't think it worked that way.
You want to sit on your couch, or in your trailer, and complain. I really do feel like you have to say something. We collectively have to say something. Fam, we putting this out here. Do with it what you will, but if nothing else, you guys can't ever say that we're not vested in the uplift of our community. Because if we weren't, we'd be here talking about stupid stuff like 95% of these damn podcasts out here.
But as a man, that's what you're supposed to do. And I think that's on our topic, that's what we're supposed to be doing, is saying things that may not be popular, may not be sexy, you know what I'm saying?
Trendy, viral.
Yeah. But people need to be able to see that. I've heard people say about our podcast, they like it because we're talking about real things.
Not 50-50 who split the bills.
Yeah.
We got no goofy sound effects.
Or your man being sassy if he tell you no. All kind of, it's like, what are we talking about?
Sorry, y'all, we don't do that here.
It's like, what are we talking about? But if men have to be able to, and the other part is men have to be able to disagree in a healthy manner.
Amicably, yes.
In a healthy manner. So I can say things somebody can say something that I disagree with, and we can have a back and forth.
Because you can process it and say, if I recognize that you said something about me that I didn't like and it's true, okay. That gives me an opportunity for growth. Mm-hmm. Because like my mother used to say, if more than 2 people were saying the same thing, guess what?
Yeah.
It's you. It ain't them.
Yeah.
So I think too, we have to get away from being afraid. man, or as we would say when we were young, stop being scared
of
you know?
everything.
Yes,
And everybody.
And I mean,
Yeah.
I've always felt this, and I tell my kids this: you should be able to have a dialogue with anybody about anything as long as you bring it to them the right way. And to me, the right way is respect and love.
Mhm.
You know, I don't have to yell at you, so on and so
Yeah,
forth,
you
because
should.
any situation I come into with respect on the table. Now, if you disrespect me, it's probably going to go left. However,
Fair.
I have good intentions. And I think that's what we have to look at. If you have a disagreement with someone, hey, man, look, I'm not trying to start nothing. this is how I feel. And I've learned, too, that as I get older, people will do that. You know, if somebody walk in front of you at the grocery store and he black man, 9 times out of 10, hey, brother, my fault.
Hey, man, you all right? Oh,
Yeah.
you good? So,
Driving. They cut you off. Hey, oh, my fault.
You go.
So let me add, and good segue.
I know where you're going.
You are which to answer the
Go ahead,
question.
go ahead.
Why is this? Where was this lost?
I knew this was coming. I think
And I know you speak
Now-
for everybody under 30.
no,
just kidding.
I'm not going to do that. But what I can say, I think the world has gotten a little softer now. So when stuff like constructive criticism is seen as an assault or an attack,
Why?
I don't know. But I'm just speaking from what I know.
And I agree with you. I know.
But
I
it's
agree.
seen as an assault on one's character, and then even like the situation like two people can't cross paths. Like, why are you getting in my way? It turns into conflict, or like you saying, two guys should be able to have a disagreement. Well, I don't like why you said that about me. Now we got beef. It's a problem. When it's really like, I'm just trying to tell you your breath stink because you need to brush your teeth. But again, I don't know where it came from. I don't know why, but it definitely has softened up. So it is harder to even kind of push that accountability or even have that uncomfortable conversation nowadays.
But even you coming up, has it always been this way, or have you noticed that there's been a sissification of
I like that.
of men as we move forward in life?
I don't know where the disconnect started, but I want to say with me being 30, I want to say I'm not even going to go late 20s. I'm going to say late teens and up. And just from what I know, because I'm even in high school, you could talk about people all day. Y'all just boys and insulting people. Kids can't do that nowadays. Now you can't talk about kids because nowadays it's gonna end up in the
So you're
principal
saying
office.
so when you're saying that, you're talking about from like the 2010s to now.
Yeah,
That sissification arc has gone.
It's trending downward.
But you see what I'm getting at, because you remember how and y'all used to cap on kids back then, and that's what we used to do. Kid,
Used to.
Yeah.
Right. We
I mean, like when I was in the
see our text thread.
what grade was it? I want to say like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Boys used to do 20 seconds in the bathroom. Did y'all grow up with
20
that?
seconds.
What's that? I don't know.
You used to go fight somebody for 20 seconds in the bathroom. Not like it was like you hate each other, but it was just who was tougher. Y'all never did
Who
that?
count? It's somebody counted as 20?
Yeah, you just go in the bathroom 20 seconds and duke it out 20 seconds, and then
No, we couldn't.
we go to class
We
after.
couldn't do that.
No.
But what I'm
We-
getting
we-
at
I get
is-
it though. No,
But what
I
I'm
get it.
getting at is
Yeah, and I was saying we could 20
Oh, y'all
seconds.
was rough.
It-
But what I'm getting at is we could do it. You could literally go fight somebody in the bathroom 20 seconds, then y'all in English class, cool, joking. Nowadays, I don't think that can happen. I could be wrong, but just as from what I observed,
I don't even think it's gonna get to that point.
You-
Somebody
you
don't.
can't-
you can't even tell somebody they stupid.
Right, you can't even talk about people nowadays.
So-
You're right, so no.
I'm not saying any generation or time frame, but the softening, I want to call it the softening of things, have occurred in later times.
So I'm gonna circle back to one of the things you said in the intro. Men having healthy relationships. A lot of things I hear now are, the behaviors that we laugh at. And even that behavior of a 20-second fight in the bathroom is toxic behavior.
Oh yeah, that's terrible. They wouldn't even allow kids to do that now.
Again, you have women telling men that certain behaviors are toxic.
What they say, men used to go to war. That's the good one.
Used to.
That's what they say.
They still do.
Really now?
They
I thought them troops was over there doing nothing.
Exactly. You just joined up. I mean, but they still sending people to war.
Okay, I'm
Men,
to tell them that.
men and women.
Oh.
But it's more men than women, but still. But you got women saying, these behaviors are toxic and you need this. Okay, but how can we be protectors? Because women still want to be protected.
Mm-hmm.
How can we be emotionally stable? Because you still want somebody who's emotionally stable.
Preach.
But these behaviors that made me a man are toxic.
They're bad. Because
this ain't Build-A-Bear. You can't make it how you want. You can't put all of these.
What do you mean by that?
It ain't. You can't just put the eye right here and change the vest and just
AI man.
Put the personality on. You can't.
We got technology now.
You're not gonna have it. You're gonna have people, and I don't care how old they are. They could be 18. They could be 68. They coming with some baggage. They coming with some life experiences.
Of course.
So certain behaviors that you might think are toxic, if they're not harmful, you're gonna have to let that go. And I'm not, and I know
you're gonna ruffle some feathers with that.
No, because you process it and then okay.
That's narcissistic.
See, that's what I'm saying. You start making up these words.
Yep. Define
that's narcissistic now.
Putting these, learn the little
but you know where I'm going with that.
And say it's narcissistic. Just like
men, that's misogynistic.
And see, I saw that on Instagram. That was one of the funniest things. The guy said something. She was like, "Well, I think that's very misogynistic." He was like, "Define it." And she was like, well, it's it's like you can't.
You know what it means.
You say these words and it's like, oh, that's toxic. How is it toxic? If I can sit and talk about another man and we, like you said, we capping, going back and forth in each other. We've been doing that since we was 6.
And to your point, Carl, it's healthy.
Yeah.
For us. I don't think any of us have gone to jail or
but that's where the softening comes from because you build character through that essentially.
You built character.
Now it's like, why are you talking about me? My feelings are hurt. And it's like, oh my God.
And 9 times out of 10, the things that we said were not true.
No.
They just was a good joke and people laughed. People had a laugh at your expense. Now somebody has a laugh at your expense. They're ready to shoot.
So
you gotta die.
It's like you gotta, and it's like, what happened to,
But you know what, and I think we didn't touch on it, so I want to, throw it in quickly before we wrap it up, is that even though we feel that, there is, a certain obligation that we have as men to support one another, ladies, we're not leaving y'all out. Because I think that plays a role too. If you are in a relationship, whether you have a mother there, a wife, a girlfriend or whatever, they're going to play a role in that.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want them to feel like they're left out because, again, women help us to be successful.
Yeah.
And I know, Carl, our wives, they applaud anything that we're doing that's positive.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get your partner.
One day.
Right. The right one that you find, she's going to do the same thing.
Your mother is encouraging, isn't she?
Yeah,
exactly.
There. I got my mom. Yeah, I got a mom and a sister.
There you go.
Oh,
shout out.
Cool. Yeah.
Branda's mother. But I think it's important for us to recognize that as well. And, for us as men, we can't do it alone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, being a man and whatever that means to whoever, I know for me, there are certain things that I feel I'm obligated to do.
Mm-hmm.
I can't just, to me, I liken it to walking past, somebody getting beat up and you don't do nothing. You don't stop. You just walk like you didn't even see it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Or you take your phone out, which
that's the one.
Start recording.
No, that's the one. I'm gonna start and going, wow, look at this. Do y'all see this?
No, check on your people.
Yeah.
He getting jumped. You talking about check on your people? Go ahead, go help him.
So we cannot be that society, and it's nothing wrong with getting involved, man. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I think if we can come together and really support each other as men, then we can bypass some of this craziness that's happening out there, where people will stop and think before they do something. Because I tell my kids, one of the things, Carl, and I'm sure you have that too, B, you may even have it. Back in the day, if I was getting ready to do something I wasn't supposed to do, 9 times out of 10, that little voice in the back of my head, that was my mother. Do it if you want to.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that was my barometer to, I'm going to go left instead of going right because I don't want to deal with this when I get home. So
Fair. Yeah.
and I think as we come up, then maybe we can bring some semblance of that back, to where brothers are saying, you know what, man, Brother Johnson, I remember he said, I ain't going to even do it. Because we have to reach out and, hey, man, don't do that.
So I think one of the reasons that's missing is because as a society, we've become a lot more siloed.
Yeah.
It ain't me.
Well, that and young people don't go outside the house like they used to. It's a lot of video game playing. It's a lot of social media.
Yeah,
it's
you
a lot
online. You're not in the world.
I think you said one of the iPod kids or iPad kids that just sit there and play on the iPad rather than playing with each other. And when you got outside, you not only played with each other, but you met parents.
You grew socially.
Yeah.
You grew socially.
Nowadays, you'll have a get together just to jump in, and you still got that get together. The parents are there, but you got all the kids lined up on the
their
couch,
phone.
on the phone and iPad.
Yeah.
So where's that?
And you're not even talking to I knew my parents' friends. I knew, their habits, their likes, and, just how they were.
Mr. George don't play.
Right,
Now,
exactly. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Mr. George got a PlayStation
That's what I'm
in the
trying to get
basement.
to. It's like, some of them you could laugh and joke with. Other ones you'd be like, hey, how you doing? And just keep on going. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It was dope. And then looking back, some of my parents' friends, they had problems.
Oh yeah.
And I just thought it was like, oh, they had some idiosyncrasy. I mean, they had
When you go back and think like, wait a
they
minute.
had like some real problems. But even with those people, I kind of learned things from. Now, we don't, even the parents, even older people, we don't get together like we used to.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have, like, oh, somebody having a fish fry down the block, or we having a block party, or whatever. We don't do those same things. And I think as men, we've become silos.
Yep.
So that means if we're leading our houses, we've siloed our homes.
Just to that.
So now these kids don't have positive examples of which to, how do I go navigate this situation? Even if if you have a father in the home, and hopefully you do, or even if you have a male influence in the home, positive, and hopefully you do,
Fingers crossed.
they might not handle the situation the same way that the person down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one may be wrong, but you may resonate with the person down the street more than you resonate with your male figure that you have present.
Yeah.
Or if you don't have a male figure present, I need 3 or 4 people down the street that I can kind of choose
Go to
from.
the barbershop on Saturday and
Somebody
somebody gonna tell you something there, but you don't even got that no more.
And that requires, like we said, consistency as a group, and outreach. Because how's a kid gonna know about what's going on down the street unless he has had some type of interaction?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll say, fam, we are on board with men coming together and holding each other accountable in a healthy, respectful way. We're not saying that it's the solution, but at the end of the day, we got to do something. We can't idly sit by and watch our young men coming up, being dregs of society. So again, we want to thank you guys for being here with us. And as always, we like to stay prayerful, stay positive, stay patient, stay peaceful. See you guys next time.